Coming up on Nittany Game Week.
To me, that is a crazy stat of two backs that have shared carries.
Nick Singleton and Katron Allen return for their senior seasons. What they need to do to finish first and second on the school's all-time rushing list.
We all have great amount of chemistry, which allows us to just play relaxed and trust each other.
Penn State continues to develop elite talent at tight end, why they're hoping at least two players can make up for the loss of one All-American. And it's a new state-of-the-art complex, complete with hyperbaric chambers, red light massage tables, hydrotherapy pools, and more. How Nittany Lions athletes are gaining a competitive edge with nutrition, rest, and recovery. This is Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. Ready or not, here it comes. 25 season about to begin. Fans always pumped up for the opener. There's an entire roster of players and coaches in Happy Valley that cannot wait for kickoff.
And you mean entire roster because you got a lot of young guys who look at the opening season schedule and say, I like my chances of getting in the games. But, you know, everybody's anxious to hit somebody new, see if all the hype is justified.
That's the key thing right there. They want to hit somebody new. They're tired of hitting each other and the guy opposite them. The opening games are great. Everybody's excited. And I tell you what, the young guys, their first time coming out there in front of the crowd will be fantastic.
It's always fun, that renewal of the season. And so why the Nittany Lions running back combo of Nick Singleton and Katron Allen is so unique, the tight end position group is once again regarded as one of the best in the country. And the reason the schedule features three inferior opponents to start the year in our opening drive. But we have seen incredible running back tandems in the blue and white. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton will go down in the record books as the most productive. Now seniors both are slightly more than 1,000 yards behind the program's all-time leading rusher, Evan Royster.
Great tandem, there's no question about it. They've stuck around for all these years because they have a mission that they're on. You look back over the years, even to a team like 1981, Booker Moore, first-round pick, and Kurt Warner, first-round pick in the same backfield. A lot of excitement about these guys, and there should be.
Yeah, one of the great things about it, if you play defense at Penn State, you're saying, hey, hold that ball. Make our stats look good, right?
Yeah, and I think these guys are going to get a lot of carries and eat up a lot of time early in the year for sure. Allen 11th all-time on the rushing list with 2,877. Singleton 10th with 2,912. It's possible for this duo to finish 1 and 2, sharing the workload the entire time.
To me, that is a crazy stat of two backs that have shared carries. They're going to play behind one of the best offensive lines in college football this year. They both will get the ball in more ways than just being handed off because they can be playmakers in the passing game for us.
It's been a match made in football heaven, especially when you consider how splitting carries keeps both guys fresh for what could be another long season.
And both those running backs are quick to give credit to the offensive line for their success. And as you know, the tight ends are part of that with the blocking element, Tom. That's really important.
Very, very important. One of the things, if you have a tight end that can also block, it creates havoc on that defensive side of the ball.
Especially if you can get people to the outside. That edge block, big plays happen when you get outside on people and can outrun them. And those tight ends are vital for that. And a lot of those multiple tight end packages will be important to do that.
It's always difficult to replace an All-American. Tyler Warren's versatility borders on one of a kind. That's why it's going to take a couple of guys to fill the void. Shouldn't be a problem with this room that includes senior Khalil Dinkins, number 16, Jay.
No question. And again, you mentioned a couple guys filling his shoes. It feels like he was a couple of guys. So there'll be a lot of pressure on these guys because with the new wideouts, they're more of a known quantity in this offense than the wideouts are right now in the pass game.
And sophomore Luke Reynolds is another guy they'll lean on. Second year for Andy Kotelnicki in his offense. So the comfort level much higher. The standard is set very high for tight ends in the blue and white.
We all have a great amount of chemistry, which allows us to just play relaxed and trust each other. And, you know, speaking for myself and the guys in my class and the guys above, all that repetition and bank reps that we have with the offensive plays, I feel like I know it, inside out, like the back of my hand.
Now, plenty of talent in the position group again. They're very serious about their blocking responsibilities along with catching passes in traffic. It's not an easy job. Very important one in the PSU offense. And you might need a roster handy for the next few weeks because the Lions are going to be playing a ton of guys against Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova. Now, the SEC has announced they're going to play 9 conference games just like the Big Ten does starting next year. So hopefully this non-conference scheduling is going to change. There's no getting around it, though, guys. The non-conference schedule is pillow soft and set up for a quick 3-0 start out of the blocks. There's a philosophy behind it. Nittany Lions banking on a long season, Tom, with playoff games on the back end.
Everybody says that, but you better be careful. You never know what happens. You get a turnover here, you get behind, you find yourself behind. You can get yourself in a real tug of war that you're not ready for yet because you've been hearing, well, these would be easy games. There are no easy games, believe me.
Well, college football as a whole is in a constant state of flux. Right now, the goal is to rack up as many W's as you can to lock up a postseason playoff berth.
Win games. That's it. And right now, with where the system is, we have to look at everything. We look at all different metrics. I think if some of these questions get answered about the playoff, about selection, it will open up the world of scheduling a little bit more.
If the playoff expands again and the Big Ten and SEC receive automatic qualifiers, we'll probably see better non-conference matchups early in the year. First non-con opponent is Nevada. Our coaches tell us how scouting another team is different in the transfer portal era. More Nittany Game Week is on the way.
The opening drive is sponsored by R&R Express. Every shipment moved contributes to autism research and inclusion through the Excel Foundation. Learn more at wearerr.com. Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State football.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. I'm not sure if the rumors are true, but I think Coach Bradley and Coach Paterno were looking in the transfer portal for a new host to work with this season, but alas, they are stuck with me. It brings up the point, guys, that the quick overhaul of rosters year to year by some programs can make scouting an opponent in this day and age a little different.
There is no question because teams can transform themselves very, very quickly. So let's talk about Nevada as for the season opener. When you look at one of the things you do is you look for common opponents. So last year, Nevada played both SMU and Boise State and played them well, but still lost. Penn State obviously won all 3 of those opponents. Nevada lost 5 games by 1 score or less. They have some 6th-year guys coming back. So, there's a little bit of a wild card there. Now, when you scout early season, especially opening season games, there's not a lot, there's no data to work with in terms of what they do this year. The head coach is in his 2nd year. The offense coordinator is in his 1st year. He was elevated. Defense coordinator, 2nd year. You got to evaluate some systems, anticipate changes, but most importantly, you got to find tape of players that transferred in the transfer portal to try and evaluate personnel. So that creates a whole level of really organization. So let's talk about the quarterback in Nevada, Chubba Purdy. Great name, started at Florida State, played at Nebraska, started some games for the Seminoles and for Nebraska. So you find some Nebraska tape. Tom, here we learned he has speed and escapability. And as you know, this is a nightmare for a defense.
Yeah, that's one of the things. When a guy can do this, and you're going to say, hey, listen, lanes just aren't for cars, as I say all the time. You got to be disciplined on your rush. And
that's against Wisconsin, which had a good defense. So he can run. He can not only just run, he can run and make some big plays. Now, can he throw the ball? He was a 4-star dual quarterback coming out before he went to Florida State. Here we show they send some vertical routes down, make a complex read. He makes this throw on time against, again, Wisconsin. This is not tape against people that can't play. We saw last week film of the Troy State wideout who's come to Penn State against Iowa. Here you see video against Wisconsin. Tom, what a good timing on this throw.
Really good timing on this throw. And, one of the things, and that's against a pretty good secondary, too.
No question. So let's talk about, for Nevada, they've got a new coordinator, Penn State, that they've got to look at. Now, he's got a track record at Ohio State, so they can look at that. But one of the things that they've talked about is the learning curve of Jim's defense. Jim Knowles' defense is complex. And you look at year 1 at Ohio State, they were good, not great. Year 2, they became really good. In year 3, they really became good. And you see that evolution because of the complex nature. Now, let's talk about when they played Penn State the last year. They've talked about how Jim coming in, they really studied how he looked at Penn State. and you look at the improvement from year 1 to 2 to 3. Now, let's talk about the basis of this thing. The basis of his defense, it's essentially a 3-safety defense, which means they can give you a lot of flexibility in looks and coverages and blitzes. But as Tom, as you know, it's not what the coaches know, it's what the players know. And talk about what this presents to an offense.
Well, one of the things here, when you have that guy, which I call a half player, half a safety, half a linebacker, you can move him all over the place. What is he? What do you count him as? You've been the quarterback coach. Hey, on certain down and distances, he's one thing. On other down and distances, he's another thing.
Yep, and they're always trying to create a situation where they're going to keep the big play. Now, let's talk about in terms of what that means for the guys on the outside. Tom, as a guy who coached corners, these guys are on an island a bunch. This was a problem for them against Oregon last year when he was Ohio State. But these 3 guys are in the box, and they're trying to do a lot of things. That leaves the guys outside one-on-one, Tom.
And that's what they're going to try to do to stop the running game against Penn State. They're going to see this look a lot. Penn State's going to have to be able to beat them one-on-one on the outside, take some shots.
No question about it. Now, when we look at some of the things that they do in terms of third downs, they like to blitz, like to create problems. And Jim Knowles in Penn State, you're going to see here they show this guy's blitzing and this guy's off. All of a sudden, this guy drops, this guy's blitzing, and now you have a free guy because your quarterback has made an adjustment with the protection to go the other way. And those are the types of things they're going to try and do on third downs to disrupt people.
Thank you, coaches. After such a thorough and detailed scouting report, you guys could use a little rest and recovery. Same goes for Penn State's athletes, and now they have a state-of-the-art facility to help maximize their performance levels. The Greenberg Indoor Sports Complex now open and available to Nittany Lions athletes from all 31 varsity sports. I use this phrase every time I have a meal at Tom's Place. It's performance dining. Check out the dining center with a full-service commercial kitchen, provides fuel for the athletes to perform at their peak. Now, you can eat as a team, quietly study as you grab a meal. There's also a sports lounge to hang out. The lower level of the complex is for the sports medicine and recovery suites. The list of equipment there is impressive. They got hydrotherapy pools, dry float beds, red light beds, massage chairs, hyperbaric chambers, zero gravity chairs, saunas. The complex is also home to the Morgan Academic Center, which opened in 2016. So it's all there to give the athletes the proper academic and athletic support along with a competitive advantage. Up next, our Impact interview with sportscasting legend Jim Gray. We find out why the people and the personalities that he's interviewed are always more interesting than the events. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
We're back on Nittany Game Week. For this week's Impact interview, I had the opportunity for a one-on-one interview with sportscasting legend Jim Gray while I was in Las Vegas covering the Big Ten Football Media Days. Now, Jim has won just about every national sportscasting award there is and interviewed just about every Hall of Fame caliber athlete in his career that now spans almost 5 decades. We start the interview talking about why the people and the personalities he meets are always more interesting than the events.
It's always the relationship, because it was always the most important thing to me was to have the relationship. And if you had the relationship, then you'd be able to ascertain and get the information. And if you got the information, then you were serving the people you worked for and the public. So, no, it's always the people. And, you know, I've got to meet everybody, basically everybody that I've wanted to meet. So I'm not looking to trade with anybody. It's been a very fortunate existence.
The people that you get to meet and that I've come across, like they're regular people that can do extraordinary athletic things. And so what do you find are the kind of common characteristics in those athletes across the sports that they're able to do to make them excel at the level that you've been able to cover them at?
The greatest athletes are myopic, but being able to sustain it. Tom Brady always says anybody can be great for one night and anybody can have a great season, but what can you do over the course of time? And can you do it over and over and over again? And are you disciplined enough? And are you driven enough? And is once not enough, but twice? Is twice not enough, but 3, 4, 5, in his case, 7 times?
You mentioned Tom, and I know you have a special relationship with him. The little nuggets that you've been able to pull from him also, like on field, off field, I know you mentioned just a couple of those, but when you get to know someone like you get to know him, or you get to listen in on when he's talking with someone else, what has really elevated him above all else?
Well, he wasn't the greatest athlete, but he worked so hard to get the most out of himself. And by getting the most out of himself, he inspired others because they saw what his abilities were. And he didn't have, he wasn't fast, he couldn't jump, he couldn't do any of that stuff. He could throw a great football, but look at how he ended up taking a hit. Look at how he developed. I don't want to say the most important lesson. First of all, he's a much better human being than he ever was a quarterback. And that says an awful lot about him and his character. But I would say what he's taught me is just in terms of a professional outlook and a personal outlook. He'll say to me a couple times a season when we do our radio show, Let's Go, he'll say, if all you've ever do is all you've ever done, then all you'll ever get is all you've ever gotten. That's so simplistically genius, but it is genius, and he is.
The athletes get to do what they do, but I think a lot of us in our business really respect the fact, that you've been able to cover so many things. What's been the key for you to be able to just have yourself part of these big moments? Because it's not easy to do, to be there for everything that you've seen.
I don't really know how to answer that. I've had good bosses who like me, I guess is the best way to say it, because it's a very volatile industry. And so I've been fortunate, and I've been fortunate to work with, great broadcasters who've made me a heck of a lot better. When you show up with Marv Albert and Bob Costas and Mike Tirico, and Dan Patrick and Jim Nance, Howard Cosell, whoever it may be, when you get to be around those folks and you get to learn and you get to talk and see how they go about it, you don't want to let them down. When you're traveling with John Madden and Bill Walton and you see the adulation and the love that they have from the people, you don't want to go out there and screw it up. You want to fit in. So they've lifted me. The producers and the directors have been great, and it's a team. Just like where you work, the camera's got to be in focus. The audio has to be on. The guy doing the graphics has to be sharp. He can't misspell names. Whoever the assignment editor was had to send you to the right place to get the right story. So everybody is only as good as the next guy and gal as part of that chain. So, I've just tried to fit in and be a part of the team and learn from the people on the team who were much, much better than I was and try and incorporate some of that.
Well, the process leads me to this opportunity to talk to you, but it leads you to the Hall of Excellence here in Las Vegas. If you want to elaborate on what that's all about, and you're part of that and something new here in Vegas.
Well, my whole life has been surrounded by excellence. It started with my first interview with Muhammad Ali, okay, and then a relationship with Al Davis, who's came up and coined the phrase commitment to excellence, and then he went ahead and won 3 Super Bowls. So I've seen all of this firsthand, from Michael Jordan to Kobe to Tom Brady to you name it, Michael Phelps, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson. So I've been surrounded and seen all of this. And so, I was given a lot of items by a lot of these great folks, historic artifacts, and I just kept them. And my mom tolerated it, and my wife has tolerated it, and now all of it's out of the house. And I said to Tom one day when he broke his 4,983rd record that he holds in the National Football League, what do you do with all this stuff? Where are the balls? Where are the jerseys? Where are the shoes? He says, I've got them in a storage closet in a warehouse, and some of them are in my house. And he knew I had all of this other stuff from all of these other folks. And he said, I said, why? We should open a museum. And many years ago, when I was talking to Al Davis, who was a dear friend and a mentor, Al wanted to build a Raiders Hall of Fame and museum. And I said, you came up with commitment to excellence. It should be the Hall of Excellence. He said, Jimmy, that's a great idea. Unfortunately, in his lifetime, he never got around to it. Perhaps Mark, his son, who now owns the team, Mark Davis, great guy, dear friend, maybe he'll do it. But we have the Hall of Excellence, so Tom and I decided 8 years ago we were going to do this. We now have 320 of the greatest sports artifacts all in one collection at the Fontainebleau Hotel. We've got a terrific partner in the hotel. The resort is magnificent. If you can't find something in this Hall of Excellence, then you don't love sports, or you don't care about sports, or you don't like entertainment, because we really have something for everyone, and I've just given you the tip of the iceberg here.
Jim has landed so many exclusive interviews and covered every major sporting event you can think of. Really appreciate his insight, and check out the Hall of Excellence anytime you're in Las Vegas. Make sure to go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire conversation with broadcasting legend Jim Gray, along with other web-exclusive content. Don't go anywhere, still to come. Tom recognizes a special group with his scrap metal unsung heroes that are the backbone of the program. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
All right, Tom. Time to recognize a special group of unsung heroes that are going to continue to put in a lot of hours over the course of what could be a long season for the Nittany Lions. You know a lot about this group.
I sure do. A lot of ours. That's an understatement. It's important in so many areas: schematics, recruiting, player relations, getting to know the families. They are developing their guys in the position groups and putting out a lot of fires in the process. Important to recognize the assistants now before the season begins, because they are going to be a big part of whatever success a team has on and off the field.
It's trivia time again, and last week I have an apology. The correct answer was 1, Delaware being that team, so anybody who got Delaware got full credit for the answer, and we did have a nice winner from Mays Landing, New Jersey, Carol Dupras. Now, let's turn to this week's question. Penn State's 2 most common season opening opponents are Lebanon Valley College 12 times and Navy 8 times. Which 2 Pennsylvania schools are tied for 3rd all-time with 7 season opening games against Penn State?
And Penn State football returns this weekend at West Shore Home Field at Beaver Stadium for game number 1. We're bringing PSU fans and alumni together with our Nittany Connect network at NittanyGameWeek.com. We're partnering with businesses that support the show and letting our viewers know about their great products and professional services. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for all of our web exclusive content, airtimes for all of our network of stations, previous episodes and interviews. The Nittany Game Week podcast all can be found at one convenient location, NittanyGameWeek.com. And while you are visiting the website, make sure to submit your tailgating and your game picks from the game. We always finish with some pride picks, so make sure to show us your spirit. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.